Holy shit, okay.
He's old as fuck. And
Wowza.
Hello.
Yo.
Welcome to Co-op Podcast.
Hey.
I'm your host, Jesse.
He sure is, and I'm your host, Raven.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Stuff.
That was a good idea. Yeah, that was a good intro. We did good. High five, babe.
All right.
Nice. All right. So, welcome to Co-op the Podcast. We're a weekly done podcast where we just talk about geekery and things that our hobbies include.
Yeah. Which is not just geek stuff.
It isn't, but
No.
I just like to, that's encompassing, because I think that there's always that, that image comes out that's like, fantasy football people are like Dungeons and Dragons people, like, they cosplay in their favorite uniforms of their favorite players.
I guess I get what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm a stickler on that one. We're an everything podcast.
We are an everything podcast. And actually,
Just whatever strikes us at the moment.
Yeah.
Talk about, yeah.
what's striking me at the moment that we could talk about real quick before we actually get into it.
Announcements?
No, Antonio Brown is going to the Raiders.
Mm.
Whoop whoop!
Yeah.
Whoop whoop!
Really, we gotta talk about how the Steelers are gonna suffer this year.
They're gonna suffer so hard. Except they still got Juju. My main man, Juju.
Yeah.
I love Juju.
But it just seems like their entire,
They have no offense anymore.
Yeah,
'Cause
their
they got
entire
rid of-
offense is just weakening left and right. But
Juju will do it. We'll do
see.
another as we get
what's-
closer to football.
yeah, we should do a draft episode, and then we can
God,
monitor
when
the
is
draft
that?
a little bit and talk about who's gonna be going where from what team, what trades and stuff are happening, and kind of
2019.
like we're talking football for the last several years has been a pretty interesting game, but pretty predictable game. And I think we're finally getting to a point where, we'll have to start paying a little bit more attention. Some teams that the Browns did well at the beginning of this last season, right?
They did well throughout the entire season, which was obviously
Did they? I
very
thought they had a
surprising. No, they
slump
did
right
actually
then.
pretty well. I think they were doing pretty well there at the end too.
Right. But so if they continue that trend, if everybody continues the trend, we're talking like everything's on the rise.
Mm-hmm.
So, we'll see what's up.
The draft is from April 25th to April 27th. So
Yep.
that
Perfect timing.
earlier that week we'll do like a draft, which is nice because April's like podcast episode themes are like planned out for us because Game of Thrones is coming out during that time. The draft, bam. We barely have to do any work. Thank you, universe.
Yep, exactly.
All right, announcements.
Announcements.
Yes.
Shirts, pop sockets.
On
What does that
sale.
mean? On sale.
On sale on Amazon. We don't have them on our website, but we'll be posting links and stuff so you guys can get your merch.
Yeah, and we'll get it up on the website soon. It's
We
just
will.
a matter of figuring out the
Coding.
complicated stuff.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, they're available through Amazon though, right, for a reasonable price.
Yep, shirts are $24.99 and pop
Perfect.
sockets are $14.99.
Beautiful.
I know. I'm so prepared.
Yeah. That's just like that's so cheap that we're practically giving them away.
We're giving them
We're
away.
crazy.
Look.
Our price is so low.
So low. Bye. Liquidation sale. Not really.
No.
No.
Emerald City Comic Con
Is this Thursday.
Yep. So this is our last
Announcement.
announcement.
I will be completely honest, tickets are sold out, so if you don't have a ticket already, it's kind of tough titties.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I mean, I'm sure that
You can
Isn't
get
it
one from a
illegal?
scalper, but don't, because
Yeah.
that's illegal.
I think they have like a big fuss about it on their website. You can't transfer
Yeah,
tickets or
tickets.
passes, and it's like
You know what I was just thinking of, Jesse?
kind of a dick move.
I hope they can't hear our dishwasher. If you could hear our dishwasher, sorry, it's going.
Yeah,
Oh well.
it's a nice faint hum to the background.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We still haven't we ordered furniture for our podcasting studio.
Yes.
But it has not come yet because we ordered IKEA furniture. We're not,
Yeah,
we don't
we
need
ain't
good
rich.
furniture in there. Yeah.
We bougie, but not that bougie.
But it was like delivery time of like 3 fucking weeks or something. Is insane. It should be here in like
Next week on Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a couple of days.
Yeah, it should be here at some point. So we'll get it. We'll have to assemble it, of course, because it's IKEA furniture. So that'll take a while. But then we'll be recording in a soundproof
Quote,
area.
unquote, air quotes.
Yeah, we're doing our best to soundproof some stuff.
Yeah,
but, you know.
I think that's the theme of all of this entire podcast. We're doing our best.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna get some new equipment. We're gonna start doing some video stuff and stuff like that. All in stages.
Yeah.
So as
And
we set up
actually,
around-
this leads very well into our next announcement. Our Patreon is live. So you could go to patreon.com/co-op the podcast. And you can back us for as little as $5. And we're actually really close to our first goal. We're so grateful for everybody that's contributed to our Patreon. But our first goal is actually a new, shorter podcast that's going to come out like every week, middle of the week. And it's going to be really funny and it's going to be really great. And we're really excited about it. But we have to get to that 100, our first goal, which is $100. So, yeah. So Patreon is live. If you can't contribute to our Patreon monthly, which that's totally understandable, then go buy a shirt or a pop socket, and you're helping us make content. You're helping us make content and be interesting and spend money on equipment.
If you don't even want to do that, just tell your friends.
Tell
everybody.
Oh God, tell
listen
everyone
to the
you know.
podcast, and that'll help too.
Leave a review, which
leave a
goes
review.
with
Which
this month's giveaway, which if you give a review, show us proof, send it to us via Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. Send it to us, DM it to us. You could win a chance to get Kingdom Hearts 3 on your
platform of choice.
Of choice. And then also you could get one of our new shirts.
Yeah, and I'm going to give away like at least 2 copies of Kingdom Hearts 3.
At least.
Maybe 3, I don't know. The number goes up
every week.
Time.
Yeah.
Just because I feel generous about the whole thing. So, for sure, enter the giveaway.
That's prompts. One way to do the giveaway. The other way is to do a prompt that we give at the end of every episode.
Throughout the month of March. Yeah, so there are 2 episodes in the past that you can go listen to that have prompts.
Those prompts were...
don't give them away, make them listen.
Well, we didn't want the last one away last week. Okay, so last week's was, what's your favorite Pokemon?
It was.
Yeah, we actually had some really good... I just lost submissions, responses. Thank you. Yes,
answers.
all those. One of them being Vulpix, which I love. I love Vulpix. Ninetales, the evolution is so good.
Yeah, specifically did this person like Vulpix over Ninetales?
Yeah, she actually liked Vulpix over Ninetales.
Yeah, no, I could agree with that.
Yeah.
Speaking of Vulpix too, Vulpix is going to be in the Pokemon Detective movie. They had the live.
Was she in it?
Yeah. They had.
Oh, I didn't even see her in the trailer.
Yep, there's
saw Flareon though, which is dope.
Yeah, there's a Vulpix.
Yeah, there was a Vulpix.
That looked pretty good.
Yeah. Another response was Aerodactyl. Because
that's a good one.
Yeah.
Fossil Pokemon are always good. Mm-hmm. I actually what are all the fossil Pokemon? Continue though.
Yeah, the other one, which was one of our really good friends, Adam, he responded with Machop, which I think is the most Adam response to this particular prompt because, it's Adam. I think that when you look at these and you see how much they kind of go with that person, I think it's really enlightening of,
There are a lot more fossil Pokemon
than you thought.
Yeah, than there used to be. In Gen 1, it was a couple of them, but now there's a lot.
Okay, well, we should have talked about that during our Pokemon.
Yeah, just more of an interesting thing. But Aerodactyl's a good one.
Aerodactyl's a good one.
For sure. Machop, also, great one. Mm-hmm. Machop and Machamp and stuff like that are always good. Yeah, as far as fighting types, I always went with Hitmonchan.
Yeah, but that's because I think you like the story of those a little bit because it's based on Jet Li, right?
Well, the naming convention maybe a little and
No, I think in some of them they based the Pokemon design and style and fighting off of.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, it was just a good good fighter. Though fighting Pokemon to me always kind of suffered from a little bit of weakness. against like Psychic and stuff like that. But anyways,
It's brains versus bronze.
yeah, and Psychic is just way more powerful.
Right.
So,
All right, well, let's get into our hotcakes. Be sure to stay till the end of this episode to hear what this week's prompt is. It's going to be really good. So our hotcakes, the first one that I'm going to talk about is, Critical Role, you know, little D&D live action Twitch stream. They had a Kickstarter, and
it's still open.
It's still open, yep. And it literally got funded within 10 seconds. It's for an animated series, The Legends of Vox Machina, which if you don't know what that particular story is, that their first season of Critical Role is Vox Machina.
And you can listen to the whole thing now. It's already finished. Like, they're on to a new storyline.
Their second
characters
season.
Are, you know, kaput. So there's nothing, like, no cliffhangers.
Right. They did actually just do a live show where they continued the story a little bit with the search for Grog, which is online now too. So you can like kind of you can become familiar with this entire storyline if you want to via YouTube or podcasting hosts around the world. So, but right now I believe they're at $6.8 million for this.
Which was their goal?
750,000.
Yeah.
So the nerds have spoken. We want more Critical Role animated series.
What does that get you if you overfund something? Does that just go to
So,
their pockets?
No,
or something
it
like
does.
this? Because like they put it at 750. That was the cost they calculated them to do.
So that was the cost of one episode, one animated 22-minute long episode of The Legend of Vox Machina. Now it's like a series. Now they have like 6 episodes, and they're including all these other additional things in with the goals that they have now.
I'd have just taken the money.
Well, yeah, so we know that that's how you would work, but...
You're like, I said I'd make one episode, here you go.
Yeah, thanks for the $6.1 million.
Yeah, on top of. Because like that's the thing is like, you're like, okay, I need this much. Oh, here, have more.
Right.
Do you really want to sign up to do more?
Yeah,
No,
I think that they do. They do want to sign up to do more, and they are going to do more. They have a lot more stretch goals, and they have like 40 days left in the goddamn campaign, so they're probably going to make all their stretch goals. I think that people should definitely contribute. Critical Role is just such a fun kind of community to be in, and it's definitely fostered a lot of creativity and it's basically opened it up for us to be able to make this podcast and people to be interested in it, and for all these D&D live action shows and things like that. So definitely, if you're a fan, contribute to the Kickstarter. If you're not a fan, you have like 40 days to listen to the original Critical Role or get caught up on season 2. So I definitely would recommend it. And congratulations to them for sure for, I mean, just blowing it out of the water. They now hold the record for being funded in such a short amount of time.
What was the one before that? Because if you say it,
it was... Oh, fuck. It's right on the tip of my tongue. Oh, it was Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Okay. No.
Had the record. Yeah, it was.
It was like a product, I think.
No. This is for, like, they hold the record for, like, funding for TV and film or something, is what I was saying.
Yeah, okay, in the category. It's Pebble. Pebble smartwatch. That's what it was.
Yeah. How's that going?
I think they still make them.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, they're really good. They're the E-Ink.
E-Ink?
E-Ink ones, yeah.
What are E-Ink?
It's like black and white or whatever. They're like super low power, so like you can charge it and it'll like last for
forever.
like a month.
Okay.
And it can show you text messages and, you know, does all the same smart.
Sorry, that was very aggressive of me. Like, what is E-Ink?
Yeah.
It's just a weird...
Yeah, Pebble. Pebble was the one.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to the next hotcake. The Game of Thrones Season 8 trailer just came out. It looks so amazing. Did you see it, babe?
Mm-mm.
Of course you didn't.
Nope, I don't watch trailers.
I don't understand why you don't watch trailers. So, it looks really great. I mean things are looking... never for
I wait
what we
until
talk
it
about
comes
for a
up
podcast.
on our It has to be at the top of it, too.
Reddit probably has talked a lot about this.
I don't know why it hasn't been on there, and so like I don't know, I haven't seen it.
Whatever. Yeah. But so the trailer looks great. Looks like they're in dire straits. Obviously, they're about to start this war. And honestly, here's the thing: if you don't want to hear us talk about Game of Thrones and maybe spoil some stuff, I mean, kind of tough titties. I mean, it's all out there.
Well, yes, we're gonna do a Game of Thrones episode kind of coming up, and we are probably like
we're gonna talk about season 8.
We can avoid probably like talking about who's dead at whatever point, but all of a sudden we're gonna be talking about like we're not talking about that character anymore, and you'll be like, oh, I wonder why.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
If you don't know that certain characters from like the first season and whatnot are dead,
so
I mean, that's.
Yeah, we'll talk about the whole series and we'll try our best.
I'm actually reading
you know.
the books right now, so.
Yeah, casual spoiler warning.
Yeah, for those. But the trailer looks really great. I mean, in season 8, the most.
We're at the climax of the series. Yeah. It's supposed to be like the longest continuous battle scene or whatever.
Yeah.
Which Richard and I were joking about it. That we're like, it's gonna be like one episode that's an entire battle scene, and then the rest of the series. They already hit that checkbox. No more fighting. Just lots of talking. It's
gonna be a lot of talking. They gotta tie up a lot of loose ends. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think they're just yanking our dicks about battle scenes.
Yeah, I mean, it is really weird that that's what they're kind of basing everything off of. And that's like the second season, or the second episode is that longest battle. So, we'll see. But we're going to do in April an entire episode about Game of Thrones. We're also going to have a viewing party here at the Co-op Couple podcast studio, aka our home.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll kind of film it and film like initial reactions to certain things and put it up on our Patreon. So that's some of the good content that you can get on our Patreon.
Yeah, we'll definitely do some like videos and stuff. We'll have the furniture and stuff. Like we can maybe set. I don't know.
We're not going to set it up downstairs, we'll do it up
that's
here.
A lot of work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be a Lord of the Rings TV series.
Yep, off of Amazon. And it's actually really interesting. The reason why I wanted to talk about it was because, so they've been releasing on social media different maps of kind of the Middle Earth. And they're focusing a lot on Numenor, which, if you have some idea of the Lord of the Rings story, Numenor is basically where basically the Age of Man kind of comes from. And that's where Aragorn's kind of story, history kind of comes from. However, this is not about him, and it's not about Isildur. I can't say that word right now. Too hungover. So that's basically the line that they come from. But this particular series is going to be within like the Second Age, I believe. So, and then if you're thinking back, Lord of the Rings happens in the Third Age. So this is in the Second Age, so it's kind of building up. It's right before they even create the rings. But like there's some characters that we'll probably see in it, like Elrond. He'll be in it.
Right, yeah. The elves don't age.
Yeah.
So they'll be around. Exactly.
You'll see areas that you know from the films and from the books, like Moria, but it's Khazad-dûm. So you'll see that. You'll see Rivendell. You'll see a lot of really cool stuff. So this is a really fun kind of way to tease what's going to be in it, and I think it's really interesting that it's not going to be any of the characters that we really know, so you're not really going to get any of the fellowship, really, which is interesting. I like that.
Yeah, and like I'd be upset, like, you know, I want to see Viggo Mortensen as Aragorn, I don't want to see some rando person, right, you know. And, like, yeah, they'd probably do a young Aragorn.
Well, like, and he's, like, a Dunedain Ranger, so they live really long, so you can't really get Viggo Mortensen to reverse age.
Right, yeah, that's the whole thing, is, like, you can't do a series like this that's supposed to be, like, before the movies with the same people, and obviously they cost a lot of money, too, so, like...
Yeah, at this point, for sure. And it's a series, so...
Yeah, so, you know, I think it's smart to kind of pivot it and say, well, we're going to be in the same area, and we're going to, like... you know, tell this other story that hasn't been told. We get a lot more interest.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you can just create the characters, you know, from the ground up, so people don't have
to... Well, and
that's one thing is, like, so Game of Thrones, right?
Okay, I was about to bring up the Game of Thrones new series.
You've envisioned those people in your mind, though. Like, when a good story is converted to film or TV, you start to, okay, that's that person in my mind. Like, Tyrion, right? Like,
yeah, Peter Dinklage is obviously who...
Peter Dinklage is that person, right? So, you're like, okay, that's what they look like. That's who they are. They're in my mind forever. So,
Yeah.
You got to really play into that, I think, if you're doing these sorts of stories.
Exactly. Well, and so they're doing a prequel series of Game of Thrones, but the kind of coolest part is it's not going to have any of those other characters that we know from it as well. It's not going to be about Eddard or Robert Baratheon or anything like that. It's going to be from the Age of Heroes, or after the Age of Heroes. So I'm going to say it's probably around the time when shit went down the last time and they're having to, like, rebuild. Like, because if you kind of know the Game of Thrones, like, it's like Wheel of Time. Everything happens over and over and over again. So I think that that's kind of what they're doing, but it's not going to be based on anyone we know. Like, it's going to kind of go into the true origins of White Walkers, and then the Starks of Legend, which is probably about Bran the Builder and things like that. See, because I'm reading the books, I'm like, I know all these names now.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah.
It'll be good.
It'll be exciting. So we're excited for the new Lord of the Rings TV series. We're obviously going to watch that. We're obviously going to watch the new Game of Thrones
series.
And,
I think Amazon's really stepping up their game, too, which is another thing about that Lord of the Rings stuff. Like, Netflix has been top tier on making their own stuff. Hulu did a great job with this new TV thing.
Live TV.
Which we are using now, and I do like it.
Yeah, so Hulu, if you want to sponsor this podcast.
Yeah. I don't think Hulu's original content is, like, as good.
Don't talk shit about Hulu.
Well, they just haven't done as much.
We want their sponsorship.
And I don't think they're really pushing original content. They're just like, we are doing TV now on the internet. That's their game.
I feel like...
Netflix is the original.
Okay, you do.
Yeah. Netflix is the original content provider. Hulu's trying to capture, like, be the cable provider of the internet so you can get TV. Amazon is just lost, right? Because they do some series.
They do a lot of
but they haven't really, like, broken out like Amazon or Netflix has. They have the Grand Tour.
They have Handmaid's Tale, which is award winning.
Yeah, they have a few that are, like, really big. They need to continue pushing and laying track, I think, to become another sort of content provider.
I agree.
And build it up. And I think,
yeah.
It's good. It's a good idea. They got the money.
Got the money.
Not if Elizabeth Warren has her way.
No.
Yeah.
We're not
Monopoly busted. I'm just saying. She's talking about cutting up the tech companies.
That's true.
So.
I feel like Amazon probably that won't be touched.
No, I have no idea what her actual plan is. But if I had an idea, this is an idea for all politicians. Kill Amazon delivery.
Yeah, we hate it.
Yeah.
We just lost another.
Yeah, vertical integration with Amazon. I don't even care. Vertical integration with Amazon
Logistics is the fucking worst.
Amazon Logistics is the worst delivery service ever. Go back to using UPS.
Yeah,
it's their
FedEx.
job.
It's good.
It's their job.
Yep. They probably get way better benefits and whatnot using them anyways. I would just say, if you want to be a delivery driver, just go through those venues anyways. Like, just go work at UPS.
Or somebody out there, start a company, contract through Amazon Logistics, and do a good job, and then change everybody's minds.
Yep.
Go. You have an opportunity to really seize that market.
Absolutely.
Anyways.
Let's go to our next hot cake. So we haven't talked about tabletop gaming in a really long time, and so this episode is going to actually rectify that. But, so Villainous, which we've talked about before, is the Disney villain game that we probably mentioned in our first episode.
That started as Kickstarter as well, right?
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
Done by Wonderforge. Well, they have released a new expansion pack. Yay!
Yeah, and so the idea behind Villainous is you play as one of the villains from one of the Disney movies.
Yes, like Captain Hook, Ursula.
Yep.
Those.
So as you can imagine, like, they released, like, I don't know, 6 or 8, I can't remember how many with the original game, but there is clearly a lot of expansion you can do, because every time Disney comes out with a new movie, it's
there's a new villain.
There's a new villain, yeah.
And we all have our favorite villains. You all have your favorite.
Everybody has, like, a favorite Disney movie, and they're like, I really like that villain, he's funny, he's whatever.
I feel like you're thinking specifically of Hades.
Hades is awesome,
Yeah.
But yeah, so which he is actually in this
core. So it's called Wicked
else?
to the Core expansion. You get Hades, which is obviously from Hercules. You get the Evil Queen from Snow White, and then you get Dr. Phallus.
No.
How do you say?
I don't know, but it's not phallus.
That's
that
how it's
penis.
spelled. Oh, is that what that? I don't know. I feel really bad because I've never seen The Princess and the Frog because it came out when I was like, I'm a cool teenager or whatever.
Yeah, you weren't seeing Disney movies.
No.
Yeah. I never saw it either for basically that same reason. And then it just sort of.
But it's like, it is so my goddamn jam. Like New Orleans, voodoo, Princess and the Frog story, which is always really good.
Yeah,
like,
I think if it had popped up on Netflix at any point, we would have watched it, but I've never seen it on there.
Which, that reminds me, we should talk about the new Disney streaming service, and they're getting rid of the vault. But let's go back to Villainous.
That's stupid.
No, it's not. They're gonna have it available. All movies available
yeah, the
on
vault
Disney.
was still nice though, because like they'd be like, "Hey, coming out of the vault right now," and you could buy that one, and then you're like, "Hey, that was cool. It was a nice experience."
Yeah, so I'm wondering if the vault, like this new Disney streaming service, are we only going to be able to watch Disney movies on the Disney streaming service? Will we be able to still buy Blu-ray, DVD copies of all these things, or is that going to still be in the vault?
Well, I have a thing about streaming now. So there was a instance, I don't remember what it was, but it happened recently, and there was a game that was removed from the Xbox Live store. If anybody remembers, like, post in the comments, and we'll remember, and we'll bring it up and give you credit. But
yes,
basically, like, if you didn't have the game currently downloaded on your Xbox when they deleted it from the store, it's gone forever.
Yeah, you can never have it.
Yeah, now a bunch of people online are like, well, I'm gonna start buying discs
hard
again
copies,
because like there's no way, like, yeah, and obviously it wasn't like, one of the most popular games, or else they probably wouldn't have deleted it.
Yeah, but it was one that a lot of people really liked.
Yeah,
so there was
if you
a lot
really like
of
that
outrage.
game, and it's not like I have games that I'm like, I like that aren't popular games, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, well, if that got deleted, I'd be fucked.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah. So hopefully not. I still want the Blu-rays or whatever the technology is.
Because one of the things that we're working on too is like we're getting these movies for my niece.
Yeah, so she can experience all the Disney movies.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're getting them for her every year at Christmas. But if we can't get them anymore,
and that's why
really
I like the vault, because it's like if they release something out of the vault, you're like, oh, we should snatch that up because like it's it's fun. It's cool.
It's gonna go back in the vault. Yeah, exactly.
So,
but let's go back to Villainous. So they have an expansion pack. You can get the game off of Amazon, but you can't get the expansion pack off of Amazon just yet. You can get both at Target. Yeah, exactly. The new expansion is like $25, I believe. So
yeah, and the original game's like what, like $50 or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
I can't remember it.
So
we definitely recommend it. We think it's so good. We played it with Richard and Jenny, our beloved friends who you know and love.
Yeah, we've played it several times now and always had a good time playing it. And we for sure are going to pick up the expansion as soon as we get a chance to go to Target.
Well, it's really funny because my brother actually told me about this, and we haven't played it together, but the fact that he got it and he really likes it, and then we've gotten it for other friends and they've loved it, I think it's a game that you should definitely have in your game room.
For sure. Yeah, it's good. It's really good.
All right, so let's talk about it. Let's talk about Captain Marvel. We went and saw it last night at a drunk theater. Got a little too drunk.
Here, I'll make it very simple and clear. Captain Marvel is really worth a watch. It's just entertaining and visually impressive. Exactly what it was meant to be.
That's very good. Very nice, babe.
Just keep that in mind that it's an origin story.
It is an origin.
Don't go looking for an overstuffed, complex story.
What are you reading from?
I don't know. There's like a bunch of like all the review stuff. That's going crazy online about the movie. There's like a bunch of bot reviews, and they read exactly like that.
Really?
Yeah, so you just go through the reviews, you can control F those words I just said, and you'll get like 100 results from different accounts or whatever.
Well, the funny part is...
There's also like 100 on the opposite side, right? Like, it's like you never actually know what that movie's going to be like, because now...
There's just bots, just robots. Yeah. But we did really like it, and actually I do agree with most of what was said in that. I think that it's not an overdone story that they just jam-packed with, like, information. I think that it was a really good origin story.
Right. I have some problems with how they did sort of, like, they get moved really fast, and, like, there's certain points where they're like, what's going on, right? Like, how is she just, like, all of a sudden cool?
Yeah, there is some time where it's like she has to be okay with what they're telling her really quickly. And you're like, she should maybe take a moment to really rethink that. I mean, she makes the right decision, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
it's
like
not realistic for human emotions to feel that way.
The whole thing is like, it's just a feeder origin story into the Avengers movie that's coming up. So, you know, whatever. But it does feel like they're just trying to get as much money out of this movie as they possibly can.
They're trying to get as much money out of the series, out of all fucking Marvel movies ever.
So I think they could have spent more money and more time making the movie maybe a little longer, and then they could have had the scenes where, like, she comes to some sort of realization, you know, like...
She does come to
just
some
show
sort
her,
of realization.
like, in her brain going, oh, yeah, okay, now I'm cool. Not just...
I remember all this stuff now.
I trust you.
Obvious
black cop dude from the
Die
90s that I've never seen before, but now that we're in this bar hanging out, you cool, man.
You cool. Samuel L. Jackson, that looks just like his character, Zeus in
Samuel L.
Die
Jackson
Hard.
Is that trustworthy? No.
I mean, I believe it. I would think so.
Yeah, not Nick Fury. He's not trustworthy. He's supposed to be like...
He still has his eyeball, so he's obviously trustworthy. But I think it was really well done. I thought that it really...
Yeah, so go see it.
Yeah, it didn't kind of fluff around a lot of stuff. It's a good origin story because when you're thinking back on origin stories that didn't do a really good job, Green Lantern, like they were overstuffed with a lot of complex and complicated stories that they should have spread over a series.
Yeah, and, I was thinking about this because that was exactly the point. Is like, if it led somewhere, Green Lantern would have been fine. This is lead somewhere. If this were a standalone movie,
it would be pretty boring. I would say
very boring, and like again, all those jumps and there's no cohesion. You're like, what? It
is really nice because you're learning a little bit about some Infinity Stones too in the story, and that kind of is leading into the series. So it's nice to have one that's kind of in the past that kind of touches on a little bit of those kind of complex stories. You get Coulson in this, and that's really nice.
Yep, they did a lot of CGI people.
Yeah, actually, I think Samuel L. Jackson CGI looked really great.
Yeah, I was a little surprised like he was so much in the movie because that must have been a costly
CGI project.
Yeah, but like I said, I'm pretty sure, and maybe an insider can tell us, it's a body double wearing like a green mask, and then they put his face on it, and then they smooth the wrinkles.
No, I think that it's Samuel L. Jackson in a body suit thing.
Yeah, see, you have to CGI more square inch that way.
I don't know. They did it.
I don't know how you pay for CGI, but...
Here's the thing. If Lord of the Rings can do it on an independent budget with Gollum, Marvel/Disney...
You keep saying that independent budget thing. I'm not sure that's
Yes!
true.
They were completely independent.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that they have less of a budget.
I think they had
Bill Gates could independently film a movie now with more money than any studio could throw at it.
Disney literally has the most money. They have so much money.
Just saying,
independent budgets are obviously less.
I think they probably skimmed on the budget a little on this movie. So I would have done it body-wise with the green mask head.
I mean, but here's the other thing. The CGI wasn't that complicated. It's just his face.
I think the real human CGI is the most complicated.
I don't think so.
Spaceships, easy. Other stuff, easy. It's when you're like Princess Leia, the whole thing, that's really hard.
That's true.
It's really hard to do. Because you gotta make it look real, and like smooth it out. And
that's very true.
All the stuff.
You're not wrong here.
Samuel Jackson's an old man now.
He's not that old. I feel like really all they did was like they smoothed out a couple wrinkles and put some hair on his head. But, like, his skin is great.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm trying to think of, like, an interview I saw, like, not that long ago about the Avengers. I mean, he looked old. And he's wearing his, like, little cap, that he wears.
He always wears that cap. He loves that cap.
And you're like, yeah, this guy's getting old, too. It's going to be a shame one day when they keep on making these movies and they can't have Nick Fury anymore because he's too old.
Okay.
It's like Professor X.
How old is Robert Downey Jr.? Let's talk about that, because I mean,
Who's older?
I want to know who's older. So Robert Downey Jr. is 53 years old. I think Samuel L. Jackson might be older, but
I'm gonna say
he's 70 years old. Holy shit! Okay,
he's old as fuck. And
wowza!
Look at those, like right here, the smile lines or whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm telling you, they had to CGI all that crazy stuff. I mean, he had a body double. Somebody was there as his body, and then they just took his face, they captured it, they put it on the green bits, and then they smoothed it out, and boom, there you go.
All right, let's stop talking about the CGI. Everything.
I mean, it's super interesting because
Yeah.
he's in like the entire movie.
Well, so the story again, really great. We definitely recommend people go and see Captain
definitely
Marvel.
go see it,
It's
yeah.
really great.
Yeah, so there's actually an article on IndieWire, so who knows, but they're talking about how Samuel L. Jackson's look stole the thunder from the Captain Marvel movie away from Brie Larson.
Nah.
Yeah, I think so. I think it did. I think it totally stole the thunder because you're like,
Well, that's all you're talking about. I want to talk about the rest of it. I want to talk about Brie Larson in the role because I thought she was great. I thought that her character is really interesting and really fun. And I do feel like it's the way that they've made her character is she was fun and funny and like adventurous and things like that. And she's still kind of those things, but she's also dealing with
Right.
she doesn't remember exactly who she is and where she came from, and
she's just a bland person. And then that's the thing where they never really connect it back.
I get it.
They never really like. She never comes up and says,
our
"I'm
animals
this
right
old
now.
person again." You know.
Our animals, like legit. What are you guys doing? We're like, pay attention to me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to our theme again. Go see Captain Marvel.
You definitely should, and I think it's a worthy addition to the Marvel
universe. Yep.
Universe. So
It's a fun story.
and we all want to watch all the Marvel movies.
I want to see all of them again.
Yeah, I want to wait for the official Masterclass box set. That'll be
The Infinity Gauntlet.
yeah,
like-
it'll be like huge, and it'll open up, and it'll have like 40 Blu-rays, 50 Blu-rays in it. I don't know how many movies there are now, and how many Blu-rays they split it up to, but
It's gonna be so fucking many because we need
Yeah.
like 3 fucking Thor films. Just saying.
Yeah.
We need 3 Iron Man films, 2 of which
all
are
the
very
main characters
uninteresting.
except the humans got 3 films, and then the Hulk just couldn't get the ball rolling.
No, they
so,
can't do it.
Yeah, it was too late. They were like already like the Avengers came out, and they're like, well, we can't go back and do it now. And the other movies sucked. So
Yeah, Mark Ruffalo's a little old.
yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be another one, And
Yeah.
I mean, half the time he could just be green. So
That's true. That's a lot of CGI.
That's a lot of CGI, but
But they were great in Thor Ragnarok. That is a sequel that I'm like all for, and that movie was great.
Yeah, I think a lot of the sequels were good, but yeah, a few of them missed the mark.
I think some of the Iron Man sequels were.
Iron Man 3 was a little lame.
I didn't like Iron Man 2.
Iron Man 2 is pretty cool.
Mm.
Just some new technology and stuff, like, oh, hey, cool, Iron Man suit got an upgrade, right?
Yeah.
But then they got a little gratuitous with the upgrading the Iron Man suit in 3.
And then it's now they can't upgrade it at all.
Well, yeah, which is fine, right? Because it was like, okay, let's see the peak level and then call it quits.
Yeah.
All right, on to the theme.
Yes, which is, it was requested by one of our Patreons, Unagi_A, which is Ashley Brielle,
Our artist.
who's our artist.
Yeah.
And we love her so much, and she requested us doing a D&D 101 kind of episode.
Yeah.
Which, the idea of fitting everything you need to know about D&D in a 30-minute kind of theme, 30 minutes or less kind of theme is it's a little bit daunting. So we're gonna kind of
split it up
into kind of a series. And so this is the first one, and it's about character creation, because when someone comes up to you and they're like, hey, I want to run some D&D campaigns and I want you to join, the first thing you kind of naturally go to is, okay, so what kind of character am I going to play? What do I want out of,
Yeah.
this game?
So, and this is just a thought I had right now. We should do this through the PC perspective, and then we should do a DM one eventually too.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah. But yeah. So if you're a PC playable character,
Yep. Player character
in this world,
Yep.
You're going to create your character first and foremost. Like you'll probably get some instructions from the DM, like, we're in a setting that's like this, right?
We're space pirates.
Right, because that's a total possibility, right?
Yeah,
like,
and that is really important.
Yeah, so you want to know where you are so you don't have, like, laser beams shooting out your...
asshole.
Yeah, in an inappropriate setting.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll kind of go over what supplies you should have, what information you'll need. We'll actually go through step by step in D&D Beyond to kind of give you an idea of how that works, because D&D Beyond is such a great resource that I definitely think that, I mean, it's changing how people play Dungeons and Dragons.
Sure, yeah, and it's free, right?
Yes.
Kind of at first, but, like, you'll have to buy.
Yeah.
You can buy stuff, and we encourage you that, like, if you're gonna play and like, buy stuff, right?
Yeah.
Just buy it there on D&D Beyond. It's worth it, but
yeah,
you don't need to buy everything.
Exactly.
And you can get started for free to see if you even like it. Just sort of get going. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They do kind of limit some of the stuff that you have. So some of the stuff that's in the player's handbook isn't necessarily in D&D Beyond, and you do have to pay for that. So just keep that in mind if, like, you're interested in either buying the books or paying for content in D&D Beyond. Maybe buy the content in D&D Beyond if that's how you plan on playing your game. So again, that's another thing. Talk to your DM. I actually have a DM subscription on D&D Beyond, and they can share content with you if you're in a campaign with them. So that's another really good kind of resource to have. Yeah, that's usually how it goes. It's usually, Raven already has this, so let's just join a campaign with Raven. So what you'll need is either the Dungeons and Dragons Player's Handbook through D&D Beyond, or in person, or through your DM. You can also use some other free resources like D&D 5th Edition Wiki.
Yeah, D&D5ewikia.com, I think.
Yeah, because that'll give you a good idea of all of your options for, like, subclasses, races.
They have they have the whole shebang out there. Like, technically,
So
they
much
have
shebang.
everything from the player's handbook. It's just, you know, everybody knows, like, you're on Wiki, you're, like, going around, you can jump from article to article to article to article. There's no, you know, in the book, you're like, okay, I want to go to this section, and everything you need is right there.
Right there.
So,
Absolutely.
you know, if you're an expert at navigating Wikipedia, sure, you know, maybe that's all you need, is you just need this page, and you can just click everything you need.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you need a little bit more structure and organization, just use it as a supplementary tool.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you can get the Player's Handbook also by just Googling D&D 5th Edition Player Handbook and major PDF at the end.
Yeah, but we recommend you actually fucking buy it. Don't be that person.
Hey, if you're just starting, yeah, I mean, like, you'll have this giant PDF
Like,
you have to scroll through, and it's a super huge pain in the ass, but...
Well, a lot of
You don't have
times,
to spend
too,
$30
like,
just to
the
test.
character creation process is done with your DM. So I would recommend one sitting down with your DM and kind of deciding, okay, this is what character I want in this setting, yada, yada. And they'll go through the player's handbook with you, or if they have other supplemental information, like Xanthar's Guide to Everything and all those other ones, just sit down with them. But the other things you need are a pencil. Recommend using pencil.
Yeah, print your character sheets, probably.
Yeah, I like printing
and
character
use a
sheets.
pencil, yeah.
Second thing
It
is
helps.
a character sheet, either a blank one, or again, you can print yours off of D&D Beyond that has everything in it. And then you need dice. I would recommend a 7 set of dice, which will have a D20, a D6, a D12, a D10, a D8,
Yeah,
a
and
D4.
you usually don't need all of them for creating your character, but, you know...
You'll need it when
Buy
it
them,
comes to
yeah.
like
your
actually
character.
playing and attacking and things like that for
Exactly.
damage and yada yada. The dice, the amount of damage you do is based on a specific dice, which is different for each class. So
Each weapon, too.
each weapon,
Like, it all
yeah.
depends, yeah. So make sure you have a basic 7 set or whatever, so order that.
Which are like $9 on Amazon, or buy them from your local game store.
Yeah, local game store, you can even get them cheaper. sometimes.
Probably. Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
So let's go into kind of our thought process on deciding what kind of character we want
Also,
to
no,
play.
we did say, yeah, you need a pencil and you can print the character sheet, but if you don't have a printer and you don't want to do it, D&D Beyond, like you're talking about, has everything you need. It
Interactive.
goes step by step, and so you can just exclude the pencil. and
You
the
can.
character sheet.
Yes.
Also, dice. You can get a dice roller online.
Yep.
There's lots of websites for that. Just Google it. You'll find them.
Yep.
There's apps on your phone.
There's actually a Wizards of the Coast D&D dice roller that I like to use because it'll have everything from a D4 to a D100.
Yeah. And so, you can get creative with that stuff, but you need a book for the information, the player's handbook or resource similar. You need a character sheet or similar place to
and
put
you
your
need
information
your
in.
brain.
And you need dice or similar applications. And then
Yes.
you just need to...
You need your brain.
Imagination.
So when I know that I'm going to play a Dungeons and Dragons campaign, or even when I don't, because I literally make characters every other day. Whenever an idea pops into my head, I'm usually on D&D Beyond and I'm making a character for it. But, so you need to just kind of decide, do I want to beat up on people with my fists? Do I want to use magic? Do I want a combination of both? You can kind of think about that as your starting point for your character. Or one thing that I really like to do is, okay, there's this trope or this character from a book or a TV show that I really like. And I kind of want to model my character off of them. That's another good place to start. So if like you've decided, okay, Arya Stark is the character that I want to base my D&D character off of. Okay, so what attributes does she have that could fit into a D&D campaign? And so that's kind of where I like to start. I also like to, if I'm like, okay, I'm not really feeling very inspired right now for what character I want to play, I'll also go on Twitter and Instagram and I'll look at like original art, like original fantasy art, and kind of try to get inspired in that way to make a character off of those characters. Yeah,
I'll say, like usually you want to come in and understand like the main three, stealth, magic, fighting, like where do you want to be in those, and are you going to be like an active like DPS person or like support person?
Damage per whatever.
Second.
Yeah.
Second.
Well, we have to explain
how do
these
clocks
are
work?
D&D 101.
Yeah. Oh no, like, and I was going to, and it was good that you did it, but you forgot the word seconds. So.
Well, I was swallowing water.
Yeah.
At the same time too.
But yeah, so like typically there's like those three categories. There, it's usually like you're either going to be the stealthy person that kind of leads the party, goes in, steals some stuff, breaks into safes and whatever,
unlocks doors, checks for traps.
Yeah. Or you're kind of like in that similar like style. It ranges from the rogue, which is what we just described, to the like ranger kind of, where you're
ranger,
light on your feet, ranged attacks. You're like shooting bows from far away.
You're utilizing kind of like your skills in survival and whatnot to be stealthy and secretive and
and there's like those are like the core sets, but then there's like magic kind of versions of those where you can get a little
like
bit
an arcane trickster and rogue.
Magic-y in it.
Rangers usually do have a lot of magic, kind of hunter's mark and things like that.
Right.
So
everybody has a little magic something.
Yeah,
going on.
a little something.
And then in the fighter sphere, you've got everything from your basic warrior. You're going to be like, knight in shining armor kind of dude, fighter, brawler sort of stuff. Whatever kind of you want to do there, to like, raging barbarians and paladins,
wise monk,
monk, where you're unarmored and.
Our coffee's cold.
Where you're unarmored and you're like fighting with your fists and stuff like that. And then, on the magic side, you have like wizards and sorcerers, warlocks, people who like shoot fireballs. And then you also have the like kind of divine side of it where you can heal
clerics.
and do other cool things like that. Paladins too, if you want to be a little bit more damaging.
There's a lot of
there's a lot.
One of my favorite parts about the character creation process is like, okay, well, I want to hit people with an axe, but then I also want to damage them with magic. And so you can almost make a character that'll fit kind of everything that you want, really. And I like to base mine off of like stories and stories that you can tell, but a lot of people, like Jesse included, they're like, okay, well, I know I want this out of my character and this out of my character. I'll come up with my backstory later. So I think it's really just get in to D&D Beyond and start playing around, which is what we're going to do right now. We're going to kind of go through the process with you.
Yeah. So, like, at this point, you should kind of have in your mind, like, oh, hey, you know, this is kind of what I want to do.
Yeah.
You know, I want to maybe do a little damage. I want to do a little magic. Because the first thing you're going to have to pick is race. Yes.
Well, and so here's another thing, too, that I like to think about is work with your group. Because because I played so many characters and I can make any character out of really any race, I like to look at the gaping holes that are in our D&D campaign, and I'm like, okay, so we have a lot of magic users, but we don't have very many fighters. Or like melee damage hitters. I'm like, I'll do that. And so that's a way that you could do that too, but maybe just work with your group so that...
Yeah, make sure your group is balanced, or like maybe the DM will help you make sure your group is balanced, but
there
for
have
now,
been...
if this is 101, don't worry about the other people in the group. They're figuring it out too.
Yeah. I have heard of groups that are like, I think there's a podcast out there, I don't know what it is, but basically all of them are bards.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really funny. So, but...
Yeah, and that could work, right? Because that would actually be realistic, a group of bards traveling and then getting into some shit. The DM will have to, of course, make it so that they can possibly do it. Yeah. You know, so that's why, like, you don't have to think about the balance. It might not go well if your DM's not good, but, you know.
Exactly.
The main thing is, so the first step up, you pick your race, right, which is going to be, you know, dwarf, elf, all that sort of stuff, right? Pass. And actually, the very first step is name your character and do some stuff.
Yeah, right? Which that whole kind of first page on D&D Beyond too is like your advancement type. So are you guys like getting XP from battles, or do you level up when you end a specific portion of the campaign?
Which the DM will tell you. All that stuff, like everything in there, the DM
that was the point that
give you besides for maybe the name of your character, which, you know. If
he gives you the name of your character, that's mean.
Yeah, I usually name my character at the end too, because I'm like, oh, well, let me actually just see what I'm coming up with. And there are random name generators online to help you.
So many. Fantasy name generators are super useful.
Yeah, for sure.
Because sometimes you're like, okay, well, I know I want my character to be named this, but I feel like that's the part that I have a really hard time with naming.
Yeah. But yeah, so...
choosing a race is...
you want it to kind of go into your, like, if you're going to be our barbarian... What makes a good barbarian?
Yeah.
Usually elves aren't barbarians, right?
Except sometimes they are, like Jody.
Oh yeah, literally anybody could be a barbarian.
Right. And it depends on, one, the story that you want to tell, and then two, races come with extra bonuses to your ability scores. Now your ability scores are strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. And basically those go into how good you are at something. So are you really strong? Can you punch something real good? Are you very dexterous? Right. Can you jump in and out of the way with ease? Is your constitution really high? Can you eat a rotten fruit and be good?
Yeah, and like every class has a
set ability score that's the most important to them. Like wizards, intelligence is really important because you're learning spells. Barbarians, it's strength and constitution for obvious reasons. So when picking your character's race, that's one of the parts that's very important to kind of remember. But it doesn't mean that you absolutely have to go with that. Like I said, I have an elf barbarian, and yes, she doesn't get, but for her race, any bonuses in strength or constitution, but that's how I wanted to play that particular character. But say you want to play a warlock or a sorcerer, then a tiefling would be really good because they have bonuses to charisma.
Bring that up because this is something that I think about a lot. There are so many people that just want to be tieflings and dragonborn and Asimir or whatever. It's be realistic about.
Yeah, that is another thing.
Maybe some of these creatures that are like really rare wouldn't have like 30 of them get together in a party, or maybe
that's absolutely true.
You know, like tieflings just nobody's gonna be super cool when a just random demon looking fucker walks into their bar.
I mean, that's 100%. And so that also depends on the world that your DM is building. Right. So, but who are the most common in all those worlds? Fucking humans. Right. And elves are pretty, and dwarves.
The basics kind of make sense. Halflings. They all hang out with each other, and they're less weird. But a lot of the other ones that have been
weird.
coming, like bird people that are out now.
Bird people, yeah.
You're like, just come on, man. Like we
Yeah,
can all
Tritons,
be bird people.
Tritons from like under the seas. It's like, how the hell you get up here?
Yeah.
You have to really have a good backstory for your character
But of
to
course,
bring those in.
Play what you want, but yeah, it's like just chill out, everybody, on being dragonborns.
Yeah, everybody's a dragonborn. And then also, one of my favorite things that I like to hear about is people, their DM makes a campaign and they're like, okay, in this campaign, this race they're not like very popular. And if you go into a city and you're this race, you'll probably get like booed out of town.
Yeah, chased out of town, executed at worst.
Yeah, exactly. And people are like, nope, that's the character I want to be. And they have like no reason for it. Like actually have a reason for your story and your character.
Yeah.
When it comes to that. So let's do this. Let's play an elf. We'll move forward with that. And there are sub races. Like for elves, you have drow, which also...
They adjust the bonuses. So I always
They
play
adjust the bonuses and then you could also get... like for drow, for example, they live in the Underdark, so they aren't used to sunlight. They get disadvantage if they're out in the sun whenever they do like attacks and certain things. So keep that in mind as well. But yes, Jesse loves to play human.
I always play human because it makes sense to me. But their benefit is like they get a +1 to all stats. But the subclasses within that let you go like,
you
get
variant.
a +2 to like 3 stats instead, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever. And so like, that's what we're talking about, like slight tweaks. They're in the same wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Right? And yeah, some of them, they have a little bit more in-depth, like, drow versus regular elf with the
where like wood elves
vision,
get like a +2 to dexterity. Certain ones get certain benefits like dark vision, where humans don't get dark vision, but elves and certain classes like that do get dark vision. So, I mean, again, just keep it in mind.
Think about your end goal with your character.
Yes.
And then pick somebody that's kind of appropriate, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then look at all the traits that you get, because it'll help kind of branch out your character. Like, so if you know that they have dark vision, keep that in mind. Keen senses for elves, it's proficiency in the perception skill, which would make them really good rangers and really good just anything that really uses perception, which should be everybody. So let's do this. Let's choose that race and move on to classes. And a class is, you could be a barbarian, a bard, a cleric, a druid, a fighter, a monk, a paladin, a ranger, a rogue, a sorcerer, a warlock, or a wizard.
Those are the major classes. They're subclasses just like they're sub-races.
Exactly. Within each and every single one of them, there are like at least 3, upwards of 5.
Yeah, there's like, I think there's like 6 or 7 underneath monk.
There's a ton.
I think, yeah.
Or like wizards, there any class of spells.
Wizards, there's like a dozen, yeah.
Yeah, that's what that is. I mean, and they're so much fun. One of my favorite things is kind of trying to decide, okay, what subclass do I want to be of this character? So with classes, first of all, you want to pick what your main class is. So for this wood elf, I'm going to pick a ranger, because what else are good rangers? I want to base this character off of Legolas from Lord of the Rings, if you don't know. So I want to base my character off of that. When you pick your character, you'll see all the nice benefits that you get. And this is also in the player's handbook. Mm-hmm. So you'll learn that your hit die is a D10. A hit die is basically how sturdy your character is. And so this is kind of your, when you're rolling your hit points, this is the die you're going to use. So you're going to use a D10 for a ranger. For a wizard, it's a D6. For a barbarian, it's a D12. Like, they're all different for each person, just depending on really how high your constitution would be as that character, and how sturdy you would be as that character. Like, a wizard is going to be pretty weak compared to a barbarian.
Yep.
So
yeah. Like, it makes sense.
It does.
It's like pretty basic logic on how it should work.
So those are your hit points, though.
Yeah.
And then next up, you'll see what your proficiencies are. That's what you're good at. as this class, what you're going to be good at. So it'll have like your armor, what kind of armor you can wear, and if you can use shields, your weapons, what weapons you're good at, because, I mean, again, going back to the wizard example, a wizard's not going to be able to really fight well with a great axe. That's not what they're here for. So with this particular ranger that we're creating, simple weapons and martial weapons, those are both kinds of weapons that you can use. So one of them is strength based and one of them is dexterity based. I'm really bad with the weapons. I usually don't pay much attention to weapon proficiencies. It's just not.
Well, so you get a lot of weapon proficiencies kind of out of the box for whatever you like want to use. You know what I mean? Like you're like, oh hey, like I'm gonna be a barbarian. You pretty much come with like barbarian weapon proficiencies.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Right, exactly. And they go with kind of what that character is. So they kind of take a little bit of that away from you, which is totally fine because there are ways to kind of get it back eventually.
Well, yeah, and that's like if you want to make like a really funky one though, like you want to make a ranger that uses a great axe or something like that, you could totally do it, and it would probably be super cool once you develop out the story and make the character and stuff like that. But you're gonna have to take a proficiency in that weapon that you wouldn't normally take.
Exactly, and you're kind of almost taking away from maybe some of the other cool stuff that you can do. But we'll get into that probably at a later date.
Right.
So saving throws are really important because they're usually, so it's what you're proficient in your saving throws. So if you're a rogue, you're going to be really good at dexterity. And so because you're really good at dexterity, if there's a trap in that door that you're trying to unlock and you trigger it, and you have to do a dexterity saving throw, you can get out of there with ease. Whereas if you were another character that doesn't have a dexterity saving throw proficiency, you're not going to do as well. It's just not what you're as good at.
Right.
So that's what those are. And then you can choose from multiple skills that you're also proficient in. For a ranger is animal handling, athletics, insight, investigation, nature, perception, stealth, and survival. And so these proficiencies are really important because they kind of go with how good at certain ranger things are you? What kind of ranger are you? Are you great at animal handling? You're very in tune with nature. Are you planning on having an animal companion with you, which is a big part of rangers? Or would you rather be really good at like surviving in the wilderness with just knowing nature or things like that? So that it helps you build out your character and how you want to play your character.
Right. Yeah.
So let's go ahead and select this.
Add it. Because this is the next page where, like, so on the next page, you're going to kind of do your initial setup of some proficiencies and stuff like that we talked about. Select your, they highlighted blue with what options you need to select.
Which is really, this is why it's really great to have D&D Beyond if this is your first ever campaign that you're ever playing.
Right. And I'll say, so the thing I really like to do every time I make a character, so this is the page 2 where it's going to show level 1 on the side, your level 1 sorcerer.
The drop down.
Yeah, it's a little drop down. I like to go, and I'm doing a sorcerer on the side, that's why I said sorcerer. But yeah, I like to go all the way to level 20 and then work backwards on my character. And the reason I like to do that is because, like, I've been thinking about this character. I'm like, this is what they're going to look like. But not every, like, you don't start there, right? You don't start with, hey, I'm going to have all these cool powers and do all this cool stuff.
Right.
You work your way up to it. But when you've been thinking about this character, you've been thinking about it at that high level. So start at the high level, drop it down to 20, fill out all your skills, and then you can just drop the level back to 1.
And it'll just cut it out for you.
Yeah, it'll cut out all the stuff that's irrelevant now. And, like, you can just, you know, as you level up your character, that stuff will just come back. But you're like, I already made my character look like what I want. So now I just got to think about the path. So now that I'm back at level 1, this was the best path to get me to what I wanted.
Where I wanted to be. Right.
Yeah. And so also, too, to note on this level up thing, because it's something we haven't talked about, is you can't... So just like there's subclassing, there's multi-classing as well, which is probably an advanced topic. And usually... Which
we'll maybe get into at another
Right, exactly. Because usually we don't multi-class. I'm doing a multi-class in 1 right now, but... Most people don't multi-class that often.
No, I rarely ever multi-class. I think my elf barbarian, I might multi-class in, but I never really go into a character starting from level 1 thinking that it might multi-class, whereas you've done that before.
Right, exactly. Same thing. It's like I'm start at level 20 and work my way back. And so I had to think about what my multi-class is, when I'm going to multi-class, at what level, right? And that,
Which, that's all a complicated topic. We're just starting off from level 1. So at level 1, some classes, you get your special abilities kind of early. Another time that you can pick your subclasses and things like that is level 3. That happens a lot. Or level 2, I think with...
I think one of them's level 5.
I think Cleric is level 2. It'll tell you when you're trying to create your character. So for this ranger, we're going to pick the ranger skills. I want to be able to have a little animal companion. So I'm going to pick ones that go with that. And then I'm also going to pick ones that are very in tune with nature and survival. So I'm not like Legolas at all anymore.
Yeah, you're kind of going off on your own thing. And this is how it is too. So this is another reason I like to go to level 20 and work my way backwards is because it'll never actually end up the way you think.
Right.
Right? You always make some changes and some stuff like that as you evolve. So if you really want to stick to this core image that you kind of thought of, you start at the level 20 thing, work your way back. Yeah, it'll still change. You'll still make some small changes, but you're still headed in the main direction, right, of where you're going.
Yeah. So. And on this page too, just a heads up, you can also roll your hit dice, which level 1 you just roll your hit dice and then you add your constitution modifier. So that's how you do that.
It says what your hit dice is right there. Usually it's like a D6.
Yep, which a D6 is for wizards, but then like I think a D8 is really popular with a lot of them.
Classes and stuff.
Yeah, D10 is what this ranger is. A D12 is barbarian, which we talked about.
Yeah.
So if you don't change it, it'll just use the average, which I mean.
Yeah, your DM will probably have a
way.
Most DMs are like, I like to do it this way, or I like to do it that way. So just do what they want.
Right. Which is with the next tab is ability scores, which is what I told you about: strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma.
And this is where you're going to whip out the dice. So we've already set our race, we've set our class, we've kind of set our basic core skills and stuff, of the class, right? The proficiencies. Yeah. And now what we're doing is we're rounding out our character.
Yeah, this is where you're going to make your character work. So if your character is really intelligent and you want to kind of focus on that, that's where you're going to put your highest score. And the way to calculate your scores, there are multiple different ways, and they allow you to choose a generation method. But there's standard array, which basically you pick from I think it's 15 to 10 or something like that, or maybe even lower than 10. You kind of just choose those and you put them where you want to. So you could put, if you're the ranger and you want to be really dexterous, but then also really wise, you put your highest in wisdom and dexterity, where you might not be very cute. And you might not be able to talk your way out of situations, so maybe your lowest is going to be in charisma.
Yeah. Standard array, by the way.
Yes.
Is 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, and 15.
Okay. That's kind of, I would say, the easiest way to do it, and a lot of DMs like that. The next one is manual, which basically you roll your dice.
Right. This is probably
which is
actually
my
the most
favorite.
Common, I think.
Really?
Yeah, I think this is the most common because most DMs are like, just roll the dice, pick the best set. Yeah. Right? So.
And so the way that you calculate this is you take 4 D6s, you roll them, and then you drop the lowest D6, and then you do that 6 times to get your 6 stats. And you can put them in any way that you want. So if you get a 10, a 16, a 14, a 9, a 7, and then an 18, that's a good array. Put them kind of in
whichever categories you want. Yeah, you're not saying, I'm rolling strength first, I'm rolling dexterity second.
Which you can. A lot of people do that, but then that's the way that they create their character. So if they roll really high on strength, but then get really low in intelligence, you're just asking for a barbarian. And that's how they decide what character they want. But that's not how we're doing it this way.
See, typically I just roll 6 dice, 6 D20.
Yeah, you can do this way, but a lot of people don't like it.
Get my stats. Then I roll another 6 set of D20 and another set. So I have 3 to choose from. and I can kind of pick, because, they're going to be like, all of them are going to have their highs and lows. Some of them
Yeah,
are a
you
lot
choose
taller
the set.
peaks and a lot lower lows, and some of them are a lot more average, and you're like, okay, I'm going to pick the one I want.
Yeah. That's my favorite way to do it, but with the 4d6s, I like to make two sets, and then you choose whichever one you want. Where, like you were saying, my highs are really high, but my lows are so low. Can I handle that? Can you handle having a -2 to a skill?
With like what we were saying with the classes and stuff, it's like your class really has like, it's going to tell you, oh, you definitely want this one to be your #1 skill. Mm-hmm. Where you get a lot of creative freedom and it really is about your backstory and how you're going to play the character, is the other 5 or 4. Where it's like, I'm willing to take like a huge hit in strength because I don't need it.
And that's how I can now roleplay my character.
And I can play the character that way, yeah. My character's trying to like lift something even remotely heavy, and it's like, can't do it, right?
Can't. Yeah. And then the next one, the last one that you can choose from on D&D Beyond is point buy, which I think is one of the most complicated almost, because you really have to, you get points and you put those points towards certain skills.
Yeah, this reminds me a lot of like video game point buy systems.
Yeah.
Like, like the early 2000s online games, there's a lot of that. And like, I think that's where this kind of comes from. And it makes sense. You're like, okay, yeah, I could do this. So you can buy up to 15. It looks like you can't go past 15.
Yeah.
And you can sink points, but you get 27 points to sink into all your stats. They start at 8, and you just got to kind of
build up.
Build them up. And what, this honestly might be like a good way to do it if you're starting though.
I think that probably standard array is probably the best way to start. If
this or standard array, I think might be a good way to say. Because maybe standard array, you're like, I don't want to take that 8, right?
Right.
So you're like, I'm gonna do a point buy. It might. I'm looking at it right now, and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, it's not that complicated, not that bad.
Well, so the reason why you're gonna have like an ability score is so that you can kind of generate a modifier. And so let's do this. So I'm very dexterous, and then I'm gonna have my wisdom be my next highest. My constitution, having a high constitution is always good because that means you get more hit points, which means you die less often, so I always pick that. I'll make the intelligence 12, my strength 10, and my charisma 8. I can't talk my way out of things. And so when you do that, below you'll kind of see what your modifiers are, and the modifiers are really important because that goes to like your saving throws. When you roll a d20 and your DM tells you, hey, you triggered a trap, make a dexterity saving throw, this is kind of gonna build on that score. So you'll see like there's a chart in the player's handbook that kind of tells you, okay, 10 to 11 your modifier is 0. 8 to 9 your modifier is -1. The higher you go, the higher your modifier is. And so this is also a really great place to look when you're making what your character is good at, what your character is bad at. This is kind of like the building blocks of that. But basically the modifier you add if like you're doing any ability checks, if you're doing any attacks, if you're making any saving throws, these modifiers are what you're adding to that. And whether you're proficient or not means you get to add more to those. So if you remember when we picked animal handling, nature, and survival for my ranger, I'm proficient in those, so you get to add an extra bonus onto making those checks. Next step in the character kind of generation is description, and so you can pick a background, which backgrounds are really nice because they give you extra skills.
And you get to do the name here again.
You get to do the name here again. So
and they have a fantasy name generator built in to D&D Beyond. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Yeah, so you could do that, and then you could pick your background. I recommend picking a background, even though like they're a little bare with what they give you just on their own.
And it really doesn't do too much. Like if you don't,
you get extra skills.
Yeah,
I like
that's what
that.
I was gonna say. Is like you get like a couple extra like proficiency. So let's drop one down and say like like you could be
pirate.
yeah, a pirate, a knight, a noble, a sailor, right? I've done the sailor one recently, so I'll pick it, right? And you see that you get some proficiencies. Like, I'm automatically proficient in athletic and perception, so maybe on the water, you know, you're in the crow's nest and you're a little bit perceptive. You're bouncing all over the ship a little bit to keep the masts going.
Yeah,
and
you're naturally strong.
Yeah, I know how to pilot a ship, so I get tool proficiency with vehicles in water, so that'd be boats, you know, any sort of thing like that. And I get a tool proficiency with navigator's tools, right? So, like, navigating on the water, right? You know, like, it makes sense, right? You can pick those things on your own without a background, but that's the thing about the background is you've been thinking of this character, you're like, where did they come from? What are their skills? Maybe I'm a sorcerer that uses kind of water and lightning magic sort of thing, and I was on the
sea
boats
magic,
and,
wayfinder kind of thing.
you know, yeah, something cool. And so I was a sailor, and then I got this, like, you know, awakening of power and went from there. And so I've got all these skills, and yeah, you could just pick skills that give you an advantage, or you can pick skills that give you a cool backstory.
Yeah, which I'm always here for.
Yeah, the backstory.
So, and on the rest of this page, we won't really dive too deep into it. You get to pick basically the rest of the information about your character. Like, what do they look like?
Right. Hair, skin.
Their alignment, which a lot of people love about D&D is, like, getting to decide, like, okay, what alignment is my character? Are they lawful?
Yeah. So
are they
the
chaotic?
alignment chart.
Yeah, which everybody has seen. It's chaotic good.
Right, and
neutral.
it's like, yeah, what is it? So there's neutral in the middle, and it's the middle of both sides. Then there's chaotic and lawful on, like, say, the top.
And then good
on
and
the
then
top, and bad,
evil on the bottom.
So it's, you know, it's a chart, and you can be in any of the what, they're 9 squares.
Yeah.
Right. Neutral at the center.
Yeah. And so when you're coming up with your character, there are a lot of campaigns that are like that call for evil characters and chaotic characters, but work with your DM, because if you think that you want to be lawful evil, like, that might be a little weird for a story. I actually, like, asked the opinion of Twitter a couple of weeks ago that's like, where is it a time that an evil character can be in a group? And there were a lot of good answers where it's like, well, if they have a goal and this group is helping them make it to that goal, yes, but are they going to stay in that goal or that group? Probably not. So situations like that, you've got to work with your DM to see how it makes sense for the story.
To that point, though, your character's alignment could evolve and change.
It's true. Yeah, exactly.
You go from lawful, evil, you're here for a reason. The group inspires you. Now, all of a sudden, you're kind of like lawful neutral.
Or maybe just true neutral.
Yeah.
Or chaotic.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Your alignment could shift. So that could be a good story to tell as well. So that's something to keep in mind.
Don't use your alignment, though, to be an asshole to your
Right.
To your
and just know that, like, when you're picking your alignment here at the beginning, like, we're talking about, like, you're in the dead center of whatever square you pick. You're the extreme, right? So, like, chaotic evil would be, like, you're burning down villages and killing people and raping and pillaging left and right. You know?
Yowza.
Yeah. Lawful evil would be like the Third Reich.
Yeah, exactly.
So evil's really hard to kind of pick a thing, right? Neutral, anything on the neutral spectrum is pretty safe.
Yeah.
You can be neutral evil and be like, I'm a pretty bad dude, but I'm not going to, like, go and do a lot of crazy stuff right now.
Exactly. I will say probably a good way to go at the beginning is chaotic good. Because you're there to further your own goals. You're trying to help people.
You're maybe not following the law of the land.
Yeah, you're not doing a great job at it.
You're doing what you think is right. Whatever it might be.
Yeah. So this first one too, still, it has alignment in faith. And faith in a lot of different classes is very important, like clerics and paladins, because they give you your abilities.
Yeah, and I'd say it also is something you want to work out with the DM, because there are a lot of gods. They might have their own gods.
Pantheon,
And depending on what world you're in and what setting, being a cleric for a certain god might not be well received in a lot of places. And clerics don't hide their...
No, they're pretty open about the whole thing. So just work with your DM. I think that's basically the best advice that we could give people on
for
this.
For a lot of this page,
Because the next one, too, the next page is starting equipment. Your DM might have an idea of what they want you to start with. too.
Yeah,
but
there are some like basics, like you can kind of
if you do the starting equipment feature on this particular page, it tells you what you can choose. So it gives you your armor choices. So our ranger is picking leather armor. It allows you to pick some simple weapons.
Yeah, like they'll say these are most common for the race you pick and the class you pick. These are the most common kind of items. Are you cool with, a dagger, 2 daggers, a bow? You can pick your combination, make it work. I'll say, too, I had the sailor thing checked. So they're like, oh yeah, as a sailor, you could also might want to start with some rope and, a belaying pin. And you're like, okay, yeah, I can do that, yeah.
And so once you pick the kind of starting equipment that you want, you just pick add equipment, and then it'll put it all into your inventory, and then you can go ahead and wear it. So I'm wearing leather and my swords and whatnot. And the reason why I'm saying this,
Beyond, definitely equip it all and stuff, yeah.
And the reason why I recommend going ahead and doing that is because the next area of the D&D character builder is looking at your character sheet. And so this will give you a good idea of what your bonuses are to attack, what your armor class is, things like that. So you're going to get a better idea of what your character is.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's good. I mean, your character sheet is very simple to read. You have all of your ability scores, whether you're looking at like an actual character sheet or you're looking on D&D Beyond. It's either at the top or on the left side in boxes.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it'll have your modifiers in there as well. You see what your skills are and what your bonuses are to those skills. So if your DM's like, okay, you're trying to lie to this person, make me a deception check. And so you roll your D20 and then you add your deception bonus, which our Rangers is -1 because she's not very charismatic. So that's basically character creation.
Yeah, that's like a simple character creation. You'll learn a lot more if you go hands-on and do it as well.
I think
so definitely do that. Like I said, resources to use. The D&D Beyond website will get you there. Click and click and click and click.
Clickety click.
If you're just sort of conceptualizing and you're not ready to put pen to paper or mouse to button, the D&D 5th edition wiki, which is like D&D 5e Wikia, has all the information. You can kind of click and play and move around and see. You can explore. That's where I go to explore the subclasses, right? What are all the subclasses? Drop down the class menu, say,
that's exactly what I do.
Cool.
And you can also find some other really good resources as well, like
other websites we didn't talk about.
The Mage College we've talked about before. Mage Productions is really great as well. If you're looking for some online tools for actually running in the game, of course, Roll20 is really great.
Yeah, Roll20 is another one that's like pretty much free. I think there is like a paid version and stuff like that too. But it's like a blank slate, artist canvas, draw your map. It's really for the DM.
Yeah, but work with your DM on using it. That's
and if you can do anything to help the DM use it better, it probably would help because there's a lot for the DM.
The DM has a lot to do.
Yeah.
I think that's the end of our theme basically. So that was just the character creation portion. Basically, we'll be kind of going through the rest of the D&D process over, I don't know, forever. Next week probably won't be another D&D themed episode.
We'll get some break. We should put in the title like part 1 of
whatever.
How many parts are we gonna do?
I don't know until I'm done.
We gotta think about it maybe ahead of time. But we should put it in the title maybe just so it's easy if somebody goes back later
and wants to go through all of them. And eventually probably we'll compile all these and make it as a bonus content on Patreon.
There we go. So okay. So then let's get into the giveaway so we can wrap up some other stuff. So for this week, again, what we did last week was your favorite Pokemon, and we had one before that.
Which was your favorite anime.
Yep. Go back and, listen to the podcast, see what we asked, make sure you do it right and stuff like that. But, the entire week or month, month of March. We're doing this, so we got another couple coming up.
Yep. So let's just go over the giveaway one more time for those that this might be their first episode. Yeah. So we're giving away copies of Kingdom Hearts 3 and our newly designed T-shirt, which is out there. Yep. And you get to choose your console of choice and the size and color of your shirt.
Yeah. Estimated value of over $1 million.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. You have 5 opportunities to answer the secret prompts at the end of these episodes. We have 2 so far, and you're about to get your 3rd in this episode. It's starting from episode 8 to episode 12. Yep. Each prompt will be different, and you have until March 31st to answer them all for 5 entries into this contest. And you have to direct message us on social media your answer. So Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, yada yada. We're doing this on the hush hush because we want to give our listeners a better chance of getting it.
And to be completely honest, it's just way easier to track when we just go in the inbox and look.
Absolutely. Another way to gain, to double your entries into the contest is to show us proof of a review on your podcast host of choice.
iTunes, Google Play,
Stitcher, Radio Public, Spotify. I think you can do it on Spotify.
Yeah, rate, review, screenshot, DM.
Yeah, DM it to us. And then tell your friends about the podcast. We don't necessarily have any entries. But tell them and have them join us. But this week's prompt for the giveaway that you need to DM us your answer to get one more entry into the contest is what's your favorite racing class in D&D?
Well, and I'm thinking maybe slightly tweak it too, is make a character basically and
tell us what that character
Tell us what the character is, right? Yeah. It doesn't have to be your favorite. Maybe you've just been thinking, man, I'd really love to see a character like this because I keep playing Dragonborn and I'd love to actually see a elf for once.
Yeah, exactly. So it could be your favorite character, a likely combo that you usually make, Jesse really likes human wizards.
I'll tell you the latest one I did is it's super fun. Is I have this human. He starts out as a barbarian, but then he multi-classes into a sorcerer, and he's going to do lightning stuff. And he was a sailor, right? And there's this whole great backstory. So think of it like that and say, I think a really cool story would be this thing, and this is how they would progress. And,
one that I want to make soon is I never play Dragonborns. I'm the opposite of the person that you're referencing.
I swear to God, I see everybody on the D&D threads and stuff on Reddit. Everybody's playing a Dragonborn. Everybody wants to be a Dragonborn. You're like, why?
Well, I've never played a Dragonborn, but I really want to play it. I saw some original art on Instagram by Electra Serial, and it's a Dragonborn monk, and it's a way that I've never seen a Dragonborn look. They're usually super beefy beefcake people, and so now it's lean and they're fast movement, and I really want to play a Dragonborn monk. That could be something that you send to us. Or your literally your favorite character. You can tell me about your favorite character, and I'm gonna be super fucking into it.
Your favorite one that you played in the past, or whatever.
Your main. I'll say your main. That's what people say in video games. Your main.
Whatever you like to play as. Send it to us, DM it to us, and you'll get an entry into the contest.
And I will tell you for a fact I will talk to you about your character. I'm so into character creation.
Yeah, we're trying to respond and be active. We're very active on our what's that thing called? Twitch? No, not Twitch. No.
Discord. So that is for Patreon. If you even contribute $5 to our Patreon, you get access to our Discord channel where we talk about our episodes and whatnot. And the last one when we talked about Pokemon, we were chatting with some of our patrons. So it's a really fun place to be. We're so cool, guys. You'll like us.
Yeah, and we can talk about anything on there, right?
We'll literally.
You need some motivation to hit the gym.
We're there. Too. You want some baking recipes? I made some snickerdoodle cookies. I'll share them.
Oh, yeah. We made ice cream sandwiches with snickerdoodles.
Yeah, Jesse made banana ice cream, and I made snickerdoodle cookies, and we married them ourselves into an ice cream sandwich.
It's beautiful. And we can, share recipes. Anyways, Patreon, hit us up there. You can also follow us on social media just for general updates and pictures and all the other stuff. We're at Co-op the Podcast
on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Yep, you can go to coopthepodcast.com.
Yep,
get updates.
You can find us on YouTube. Rate, review, and subscribe to us on social media and on your podcast host of choice. That really helps us in making this our eventual full-time jobs.
So you can find me on all those social media platforms too, at JesseCO_OP.
Yep, and you can find me on all those as well, at Raven_Coop.
Yep. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So later.
Check us out on our Patreon, real quick. Patreon.com/co-op the podcast.
Yeah.
All right, now
Let's
we're
push
done.
Patreon one more time.
Yeah, please.
No, we're done. Okay.
Yes.
Later. Bye.
Okay, bye.